The stars shone brightly against the dark void of space as the Valadrian warship inevitability cut through the emptiness. Commander Krax stood on the bridge, his scaled hands clasped behind his back. His yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the blue planet on the main screen. "Report," he ordered, his deep voice echoing in the quiet command center. "The planet is called Earth, Commander," Officer Len said. "Scans show it is home to over 7 billion humans. They have basic space travel, but nothing like our technology." Commander Krax nodded slowly. The Valadrian Empire ruled 12 star systems and had conquered 8 other species. All fell before Valadrian might. This would be no different. "Their communications?" he asked. "Strange, Commander. They broadcast openly. Music, stories, messages, all sent into space for anyone to hear." Krax found this puzzling. In the universe he knew, showing weakness meant death. Yet these humans shared freely, without fear. What kind of species behaved this way? "They have a small ship approaching the outer edge of their system," Officer Lenz continued. "Should we make contact?" "Yes," Krax decided. "Let us introduce ourselves." Captain William Gardner of the U.S. Discovery sipped his coffee as he looked out at Jupiter's moons. This exploration mission was routine. Collect data, run tests, then head home. "Captain." Samantha Powell, the communications officer, called out suddenly. "I'm picking up a signal. It's not from Earth." Gardner's coffee mug stopped halfway to his mouth. "Put it on the main screen." The crew watched as a massive ship appeared on their display. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Dark metal with glowing red lines, at least 20 times larger than their vessel. "My God," whispered Daniel Grant, the science officer. "They're hailing us," Powell said, her fingers moving quickly across her console. Gardner stood straighter. "Open a channel." The screen changed to show a tall, reptilian being with scales that shimmered with a metallic gleam. Yellow eyes stared at them coldly. "I am Commander Krax of the Valadrian Empire," the alien said. "Your planet is now within our territory. Who speaks for your vessel?" Gardner stepped forward. "I'm Captain William Gardner of the U.S. Discovery from Earth. We welcome you to our solar system and hope to establish peaceful relations." A flicker of confusion crossed the alien's face. "Peaceful relations? I do not understand. We have claimed this sector. You will submit to Valadrian authority." Gardner exchanged glances with his crew. "With respect, Commander, Earth and its solar system are independent. We're open to discussion and cooperation, but not submission." The alien's eyes narrowed. "You misunderstand, human. This is not a negotiation. The Valadrian Empire does not ask. We take." Lieutenant Gregory Torres, head of security, moved closer to the captain. "Sir, I don't like this," he said quietly. Gardner nodded but kept his eyes on the screen. "Commander Krax, maybe we can find common ground. We invite you to share information and culture. There's much we could learn from each other." Krax tilted his head, studying the humans with new interest. "Interesting. You do not seem afraid." "Should we be?" Gardner asked. "All others fear the Valadrian Empire," Krax stated simply. "Your captain and a small team will come aboard our vessel. Now." After the communication ended, Torres shook his head. "Captain, this is clearly a trap." "Probably," Gardner agreed. "But refusing might start a war we're not ready for. Sometimes the bravest thing is to step into the unknown." He turned to his crew. "Powell, Grant, you're with me. Torres, if we're not back in 3 hours, get this ship to Earth and warn them." As they prepared to board the alien vessel, Gardner felt a mix of fear and excitement. Humanity had dreamed of meeting aliens for centuries. Now that day had come, but not as they had hoped. Little did they know that this meeting would change the fate of 2 civilizations forever, challenging everything the Valadrians thought they knew about power. Captain Gardner, Samantha Powell, and Daniel Grant stood in the massive docking bay of the Valadrian ship. They felt small next to the tall, scaled aliens who surrounded them with weapons ready. "Follow," ordered a Valadrian guard. The humans were led through long corridors with high ceilings. The walls glowed with strange symbols and pulsing red light. Everything was built to make visitors feel small and weak. Their entire ship design is meant to intimidate, Grant whispered. They entered a large room where Commander Krax waited. Behind him, a wall-sized window showed the stars and Earth in the distance, looking tiny and vulnerable. "Welcome aboard the Inevitability," Krax said. "Few non-Valedrians see the inside of our vessels. Fewer still leave alive." Gardner kept his face calm. "We appreciate your hospitality, Commander." Krax made a sound like rough laughter. "Hospitality? You misunderstand your situation, human. This is not a friendly visit." He pressed a button, and the room darkened. A hologram appeared, showing hundreds of Valadrian ships destroying planets and fleets. "This is the Kaltar system. They refused our protection." The hologram showed a planet cracking apart. This was the Meldori Alliance. They thought their technology could match ours. The image changed to burning ships. 8 species now serve the Valadrian Empire. All who resist are eliminated. Powell swallowed hard but kept her eyes steady. Grant took detailed mental notes of everything he saw. Gardner watched it all without flinching. When the lights came back on, he simply asked, "Is there a point to this display, Commander?" Krax stared at him with surprise. "You show no fear. Perhaps you don't understand. Your Earth will join our empire. You can surrender peacefully and live as servants, or resist and perish." Gardner shook his head. "Earth doesn't work that way, Commander. We don't surrender, and we don't serve masters. We would prefer friendship between our peoples." "Friendship?" Krax said the word as if he had never heard it before. "What is the value of friendship when compared to power?" "Everything," Gardner replied. "Friendship means allies, not servants. It means trading ideas and growing stronger together." Powell added, "Our history is filled with empires that tried to rule by fear. None of them lasted." Krax walked in a circle around the humans, studying them. "Your confidence is puzzling when your technology is so primitive." "Technology isn't everything," Grant said quietly. Krax stopped. "Show me your ship's capabilities." Gardner hesitated, then nodded. "We're an exploration vessel. We study stars, planets, and space phenomena. Our mission is to learn, not to conquer." "And your weapons?" "We have defensive capabilities only," Gardner explained. "Earth isn't interested in galactic conquest." Commander Krax turned to his officers and spoke in their language. The conversation seemed heated. When he turned back, his yellow eyes had a dangerous gleam. "I believe you are either lying or foolish. No species can survive without domination. It is the way of the universe." Gardner sighed. "It seems we have different views on survival, Commander." "Yes," Krax agreed. "And soon you will learn which view is correct." He turned to his guards. "Return them to their ship." As they were escorted back, Powell whispered, "That didn't go well." "No," Gardner agreed. "But we learned a lot about them." Grant nodded. "They only understand power and fear. They can't imagine other ways to interact." Back on the Discovery, Torres was relieved to see them. "What happened, Captain?" "They're planning something," Gardner said grimly. "Send a message to Earth. We need to prepare. The Valadrians don't understand peace or cooperation. They only respect power." "What will they do?" Powell asked. Gardner looked out at the massive alien ship. "They'll try to teach us a lesson. And when that happens, we'll need to show them that humanity has a different kind of power, one they've never encountered before." As the Discovery moved away from the Inevitability, both sides prepared for what would come next. But while the Valadrians prepared for war as they always had, humanity began to mobilize in ways the aliens could never expect. 3 days passed with no sign of the Valadrian ship. On Earth, emergency meetings filled conference rooms as world leaders discussed the alien threat. "They're testing us," Vice Admiral Patricia Kelly said, standing before the United Earth Defense Council. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, her eyes sharp after 30 years of military service, watching how we react. The room buzzed with nervous energy. Screens showed the Valadrian ship still lurking near Jupiter. "What do they want?" asked a council member. "Submission," Kelly answered. "Captain Gardner's report makes that clear. The Valadrians only understand power and control." The council president nodded grimly. "Then we must prepare for conflict while still pursuing peace." Suddenly, all screens flashed red. An aide rushed in. "Admiral, they're attacking our research station on Europa." Commander Krax watched with satisfaction as his ship's weapons hit the small human outpost on Jupiter's moon. The explosions looked impressive against the icy surface. "Target destroyed," Commander reported Officer Lenz. "Excellent. Now we wait for their surrender message," Krax said confidently. "All species understand this language, the language of power." Officer Vex, who had studied the human transmissions more closely than the others, looked troubled. "Commander, these humans seem different. Their history shows." "Their history is irrelevant," Krax interrupted. "They are weak. They will submit." On the Discovery, which had retreated to Mars orbit, Captain Gardner watched the footage of Europa Station's destruction. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair tightly. 12 researchers, he said quietly, studying ice samples. Powell's voice shook as she reported, "We're receiving a message from Earth Command." The screen showed Vice Admiral Kelly's stern face. "Captain Gardner, return to Earth immediately, and send this message to the Valadrian vessel." Minutes later, Commander Krax received the human response. He expected fear, pleading, offers of surrender. Instead, Vice Admiral Kelly's face appeared on his screen, calm and collected. "Valadrian Command, you have attacked an unarmed scientific outpost, killing 12 civilians. Earth offers you one opportunity to resolve this peacefully. Withdraw from our system, provide full reparations for lives lost, and we can discuss terms for future contact. Otherwise, you will face consequences. You have 6 hours to respond." Silence filled the Valadrian bridge, then laughter erupted. "Consequences," Krax said, amused. "They threaten us with consequences." He turned to his weapons officer. "Target their defense satellite over Mars. Destroy it. Show them what real consequences look like." Admiral Kelly watched the satellite explosion on her command screen. She didn't flinch. "They've made their choice," she said. "Launch Operation Hidden Hand." Across the solar system, ships appeared from secret bases on moons, asteroids, and orbital stations, a fleet that had been hidden from Valadrian sensors, small fast vessels designed for one purpose. On the inevitability, alarms blared. "Commander, multiple ships approaching from all directions," Officer Lenz shouted. "Impossible," Krax said. "Our scans showed nothing." The ship shuddered as precision strikes hit key weapon systems. The human vessels moved in perfect coordination, targeting engines, weapons, and communications arrays. "Return fire," Krax ordered. "Weapons are offline," came the panicked reply. Within minutes, the mighty Valadrian ship had been effectively disabled without being destroyed. A message came through on all channels. "Valadrian vessel." Admiral Kelly's voice was steady. "That was a measured response. We disabled your weapons but spared your ship and crew. This is how humanity fights, with restraint and precision. We still prefer peace, but now you understand we are not defenseless. What's your next move, Commander?" Krax stared at the screen in shock. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something new, doubt. The Valadrians had always believed they understood power, but these humans had just taught them a lesson they never expected to learn. Commander Krax paced in his damaged ship, anger burning in his yellow eyes. The humans had humiliated him. They had disabled the inevitability without destroying it. A show of mercy that, in Valadrian culture, was the ultimate insult. "Repairs will take 3 days, Commander," Officer Lenz reported. Unacceptable, Krax growled. Send a message to High Command. Tell Admiral Zorith we need reinforcements. As the Valadrian ship limped to the edge of the solar system, Earth prepared for what would come next. At the North American Defense Center, engineers and scientists worked around the clock. Chief Engineer Alan Murphy hadn't slept in 2 days. His desk was covered with coffee cups and diagrams of Valadrian technology. We've analyzed their weapons signatures, he explained to Admiral Kelly. They use a form of energy we've never seen before, but the principles are similar to our own physics. Murphy showed her a redesigned defense satellite. We've modified our shields to absorb their energy weapons. Not perfectly, but it should give us an edge. Kelly nodded. How soon can we deploy these? First units are already in orbit, Murphy said with pride. The rest will be ready within 48 hours. Good work, Kelly said. Because according to our deep space monitors, we're about to have company. 7 days after the first encounter, a fleet of 30 Valadrian warships entered the solar system. Leading them was the Dominance, Admiral Zorith's flagship, twice the size of Krax's vessel. Admiral Zorith was older than Krax, his scales darker and scarred from many battles. He had conquered 3 species personally and had never known defeat. So these are the humans who damaged your ship, Zorith said, studying Earth on his view screen. They look insignificant. Krax stood nearby, still ashamed of his failure. They are deceptive, Admiral. They hide their strength and speak of peace while preparing for war. Zorith made a dismissive gesture. All lesser species try to deceive, but none can stand against a full battle fleet. He turned to his communications officer. Send a message to their planet. They have 1 hour to surrender before we begin planetary bombardment. On Earth, Dr. Laura Bennett, the leading expert in xenodiplomacy, sat with Admiral Kelly as they received the Valadrian ultimatum. They still don't understand us, Bennett said, pushing her glasses up. They think increasing the threat will make us submit. Kelly's face was grim. Will your team keep trying to communicate? Of course, Bennett nodded. We'll continue broadcasting peace proposals even as we fight. It might confuse them enough to create an advantage. Kelly turned to her tactical display. We'll need every advantage. Captain Gardner, is your fleet in position? From a hidden base on Mars, Gardner's voice came through. Yes, Admiral. Discovery Fleet is ready. Operation Phalanx can begin on your command. And Project Mirage? Kelly asked. The defense platforms are online, Murphy reported. They won't expect what's coming. Admiral Zorith grew impatient as the deadline passed. No response. Typical cowardice. Begin the attack. The Valadrian fleet moved toward Earth, weapons charging. Suddenly, their sensors detected hundreds of defense platforms appearing throughout the system. Impossible, Officer Vex exclaimed. These weren't here before. The platforms began firing, using modified versions of Valadrian weapons technology. The first wave of shots hit with surprising accuracy. They've adapted our own weapons. Zorith was shocked. How could they do this in days when it took us decades to develop? Krax watched as human ships emerged from hiding places throughout the system. They were smaller than Valadrian vessels, but moved with incredible speed and coordination. I warned you, Admiral, Krax said quietly. These humans are different. They learn. They adapt. And now, they're ready for us. Zorith's eyes narrowed. No matter. We still have superior numbers and firepower. All ships, advance. Show these humans what real power looks like. As the battle began, neither side realized that this conflict would forever change their understanding of strength, intelligence, and the true nature of power. The space around Jupiter lit up with weapon fire. Valadrian ships moved in tight formation, their red energy beams cutting through the darkness. Earth's smaller vessels darted between them like fish around sharks. They're not fighting properly, Admiral Zorith complained as he watched the battle unfold. Their ships scatter instead of forming battle lines. The human vessels refuse to engage directly. Instead, they fired quick shots, then disappeared behind moons or into Jupiter's thick clouds, only to emerge elsewhere and strike again. "It's a coward's tactic," Zorith said with disgust. Officer Vex studied the pattern of attacks. "Not cowardice, Admiral. Strategy. They're drawing our ships apart." Zorith saw it too late. The tight Valadrian formation had broken as individual captains chased the nimble human ships. Now his fleet was scattered across the Jupiter system. "Regroup," he ordered. All ships returned to formation. But before his fleet could reorganize, a new threat appeared. Captain Frank Russell felt sweat on his forehead as he guided the Defiance through Jupiter's upper atmosphere. His experimental ship, designed for stealth operations, was invisible to Valadrian sensors. "Engine heat is building," warned his pilot, Lisa Ortiz. "We can't stay hidden in here much longer." Russell nodded. "Just get us behind their flagship, everyone else ready." His small team of 6 specialists checked their equipment one last time. Their mission was not to destroy but to capture, something the Valadrians would never expect. "Ready, Captain," they confirmed. The Defiance shot out of Jupiter's clouds like a bullet, directly toward Admiral Zorith's massive flagship. "Small vessel approaching at high speed," shouted a Valadrian officer. "Destroy it," Zorith ordered calmly. The flagship's weapons locked onto the Defiance, but the human ship moved in an erratic pattern, making it nearly impossible to hit. It weaved between larger Valadrian vessels, causing them to fire at each other in their attempt to hit the small target. What kind of pilot flies like that? Krax wondered, watching the human ship's impossible maneuvers. The Defiance suddenly accelerated to its maximum speed, aiming directly for the flagship's docking bay. "They're going to crash into us," a Valadrian officer yelled. But at the last moment, the human ship flipped, fired reverse thrusters, and slid perfectly into the docking bay. "Intruder alert," blared the ship's computer. Inside the flagship, Russell and his team moved quickly through the corridors. They had studied the layout from scans of Krax's ship and knew exactly where to go. "Remember, non-lethal force only," Russell reminded his team as they encountered Valadrian guards. They used stun weapons to disable the aliens without killing them, another concept foreign to Valadrian warfare. "They're heading for the command center," a wounded guard reported to Admiral Zorith. Zorith stood from his command chair, drawing his personal weapon. "Let them come. I will show them how a Valadrian admiral faces death." But when Russell and his team breached the command center, they didn't open fire. Instead, they deployed devices that filled the room with a paralyzing gas. Within seconds, every Valadrian, including Admiral Zorith, collapsed. Russell approached the admiral, who lay conscious but unable to move. What are you doing?" Zorith managed to ask. "Why don't you kill me?" Russell attached a small device to the admiral's armor. "Because that's not our mission," he explained as he signaled his team. "We didn't come here to destroy. We came to learn." In a flash of light, Russell, his team, and Admiral Zorith disappeared from the command center, transported back to the Defiance. The human ship shot out of the docking bay and vanished into Jupiter's clouds before the stunned Valadrians could react. Left without their leader, the Valadrian fleet fell into confusion. Some ships continued fighting, while others pulled back, uncertain what to do. For the first time in its long history, the mighty Valadrian Empire had not only faced resistance, they had lost their supreme commander without a single Valadrian life being taken. A new message played across all Valadrian communications channels. "Your admiral is safe and will not be harmed. Cease fire, and we can end this without further bloodshed." The battle paused as the Valadrians faced something they had never encountered before, an enemy that could have destroyed them, but chose not to. Admiral Zorith woke in a bright room with white walls. He was lying on a bed, comfortable, but clearly not Valadrian design. He tried to move but found his limbs were weak. "The paralysis will wear off soon," said a female voice. A human woman in a uniform with silver leaves on the collar stood nearby. She was shorter than a Valedrian, but stood straight with confidence. "I am Colonel Olivia Campbell," she said. "You're on Earth, Admiral Zorith." Zorith's yellow eyes narrowed. "Why am I not dead? Or in a cell?" Campbell pulled up a chair and sat near him. "That's not how we do things here. You're our guest, though you'll remain under supervision." "Guest." Zorith tested the word. "I came to conquer your world." "Yes," Campbell nodded. "And we'd like you to understand why that was a mistake." Over the next few days, Zorith's strength returned. To his surprise, he was given comfortable quarters, not a prison cell. Humans brought him suitable food and treated his few injuries with care. "Why show kindness to an enemy?" he asked Campbell during one of her daily visits. "We don't see you as an enemy," she explained. "We see you as someone who doesn't understand us yet." Zorith laughed. "There is nothing to understand. The strong rule. The weak serve. This is the way of the universe." Campbell smiled. "Then let me show you something." She took him to a large window overlooking the city park. Children of different colors played together while adults watched nearby. "What am I looking at?" Zorith asked. "Freedom," Campbell said. "Those children can become anything they want. Scientists, artists, leaders. No one tells them their place based on birth or strength." Zorith watched with curiosity. "And this makes your species strong?" "It does," Campbell nodded. "When people choose their own path, they work harder, create more, and fight fiercer to protect it." Each day, Campbell showed Zorith something new. A hospital where doctors saved lives regardless of a patient's status. A university where ideas were debated openly. A council meeting where leaders from different regions argued but ultimately worked together. "Your society is chaotic," Zorith commented. "How do you maintain order without fear?" "With something stronger than fear," Campbell explained. "Trust and common purpose." One evening, Campbell took Zorith to a special event. A concert where musicians from countries that had once been bitter enemies now played together. "Less than a century ago, these nations tried to destroy each other," she told him. "Now they create beauty together." Zorith listened to the music, feeling something stir inside him. "My people have no such art. We have victory songs, but nothing like this." "You could," Campbell said simply. Later that night, Zorith stood at his window, watching the city lights. He thought of his own world, organized, efficient, but without the vibrant energy he felt here. Where Valadrians followed orders, humans created and explored. Where his people conquered, these humans connected. "Admiral," Campbell said, entering his room with a tablet, "we've received a message from your fleet. Commander Krax has taken control and is planning another attack." Zorith took the tablet and read the message. Once, he would have felt pride in Krax's determination. Now, he felt something else. Doubt. "Your people will fight back," he said, not as a question. "We will," Campbell confirmed. "We value peace, but we'll defend ourselves." Zorith looked at her directly. "More Valadrians will die. More humans too." "Yes. And for what?" "So that we can rule a planet that doesn't want to be ruled. So we can crush a spirit that's stronger when free." Zorith handed back the tablet. "I have seen how your children play, how your leaders debate, how your healers care for all. There is power here, but not the kind I understood." Campbell watched him carefully. "What are you saying, Admiral?" "I'm saying I wish to send a message to my fleet," Zorith answered. "I believe I finally understand what true power is." The Valadrian fleet hovered at the edge of Earth's solar system. Commander Krax paced the bridge of his ship, impatient for the attack to begin. "All ships report ready, Commander," Officer Lenz announced. "Good. We will avenge Admiral Zorith and show these humans the true meaning of." "Commander," interrupted Officer Vex, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's Admiral Zorith." The large screen on the bridge flickered to life. Admiral Zorith appeared, standing straight and proud. Behind him stood Colonel Campbell and several other humans. "Admiral," Krax exclaimed, "are you being forced to speak? Blink twice if—" "I am not under duress, Commander," Zorith said firmly. "I speak freely. You will stand down immediately and withdraw our forces." Krax looked shocked. "But Admiral, we came to conquer this world. To avenge your capture." "There is nothing to avenge," Zorith replied. "I was not captured. I was educated." The bridge fell silent as Zorith continued. "All my life, I believed that power meant domination, that strength meant the ability to destroy. The Valadrian Empire has conquered 8 species with this belief." Zorith's voice grew stronger. "We were wrong." The speech was broadcast not only to the Valadrian fleet but across Earth, and to all worlds in the Valadrian Empire. Billions of beings, humans, Valadrians, and subjugated species, watched as Admiral Zorith spoke. "I have walked among the humans," he said. "I have seen children playing without fear, leaders debating without punishment, people of different groups working together by choice, not force." He gestured to the humans standing with him. "These people could have killed me. They had the power to destroy our ships. Instead, they showed restraint. They offered peace even as we threatened war." Zorith stepped closer to the camera. "This is true power, not the ability to take life, but the wisdom to preserve it. Not forcing others to serve, but inspiring them to join. Not uniformity through fear, but strength through diversity." On his ship, Krax struggled to understand. "Admiral, these are the words of weakness." "No, Krax. For the first time, I speak from strength, real strength." Zorith's eyes showed a clarity that hadn't been there before. "I have seen a better way to live. The Valadrian Empire will change, starting today." Zorith announced a new pact, the Terran-Valadrian Accord. Earth would share knowledge and culture with the Valadrians. In return, the Empire would begin freeing its subjugated worlds. "We will learn from each other," Zorith concluded, "and grow stronger together than we ever could apart." 1 year later, Admiral Zorith and Captain Gardner stood on the observation deck of the newly built space station orbiting Earth. Below them, Valadrian and human engineers worked together on a joint project, a new type of ship designed for exploration, not warfare. "Your people adapt quickly," Gardner commented. "Some faster than others," Zorith admitted. "Krax and his supporters still resist the changes, but more join us each day." On various planets throughout the former empire, schools opened where different species learned together. Trade routes established where once there had been only supply lines for conquering forces. Art and music spread between worlds that had never shared anything but conflict. "I still don't fully understand your kind," Zorith said, watching Earth rotate below. "You could have destroyed us. Your weapons, while fewer, were more advanced than we realized. Your tactics smarter. Why risk peace with an empire known only for war?" Gardner smiled. "Because that's humanity's greatest strength, hope. We always believe things can be better, even when history suggests otherwise." Zorith nodded slowly. For thousands of years, the Valadrian Empire understood power as control over others. It took meeting humanity to learn that true power is control over ourselves, the ability to change, to grow, to choose a better path. As their station orbited into the sunrise, light spread across Earth's surface, a fitting symbol for the new understanding dawning across the stars. The greatest power both species had learned wasn't found in weapons or dominance, but in the courage to reach out a hand instead of raising a fist.